This is NEGOTIATEx TV.
Mike, ever an example you could share of an organization you've worked with who was kind of building it and hoping folks are going to come, kind of striking out, and then you come in, help them kind of reframe their focus and do some hard work around ideal advocacy, advocates, and see a turnaround in the success they're having?
Yeah, gosh, we've got a bunch of these kinds of stories, and I love that we do because we've just been along some great organizations, and I would say lucky to serve some great organizations that are willing to listen and grow. The first one that comes to mind is the first one that I went with, back in, gosh, it's the inception story for us. They're now called the Global Orphan Project. When I went on that trip to Haiti, July of 2008, they were called C3 Missions International. Do you know why? Because the founder earned his money in propane, and he's a great guy. So let me just say this, like, hey, publicly, I love this man dearly. He is almost a family member to me. But he named his organization C3 because C3H8 was the chemical compound for propane. That's how he made his money. So why wouldn't he just name his charity C3? And this is how we're and when I showed up, I went on this trip, life-changing trip. I was like, Mike, his name's Mike. You say this is the most important work you've ever done, and it does not look like it. It does not sound like it. And the story is about you. Is that what we want people to understand when you're out there serving widows and orphans? That this is about you and your money and how you made it? Because that's from the very start, from the very jump, it's about you, C3. So we did a what we call brand impact assessment, which is a big 8-week process for us to really do. I do advocates, messaging strategies, etc. And we did this process. This was the first time I'd ever done this process. By the way, we didn't call it that then. I just knew the pieces and parts. Been trained by the big companies to do it this way, and we added some different, a couple of different flavors to this. And man, it was impactful. We profiled the audience. We thought about messaging, and that led us to a need for a name change because it needed to be about others. The audience wanted and needed. They were drawn to this organization in very profound ways, but they were trapped. They weren't really sharing about this organization. They weren't really advocating for this organization. Why? Because the messaging was really hard to understand. The name was like nondescript. Like there was just so many challenges. And so the barriers for being able to share about the organization and actually have alignment were really high. So all we did, we took the barriers all the way down. New name, new logo, a strategy of communication for specific audience. We typed the audience, and it was, gosh, it's been impactful. So they've gone from, $1.5 million organization to, guys, they are, pushing 20, 10 years. They have for-profit arms that are earning even more income that aren't even part of the nonprofit now. They're very innovative, and it's unlocked a lot of things. You should see the way they're using this brand today, and we couldn't have planned it better. And by the way, we don't have anything to do with it anymore. When you unlock potential, it goes in directions you could never plan. And they are just off to the races, and I love it. Kim and I, my wife and I are very connected to this organization. We love it. And yet we have no idea all of the places they've taken this organization now. It's fantastic to watch. And it started with, an owner founder being willing to, think a little differently. That, in my opinion, that's part of what it takes for us to accept that what we think and something that we hold dear might be better if we open our hand up a little bit wider.
And it sounds like you've got to practice that too. So as you guided him, you're kind of practicing what you want your client to do with their customers or their advocates. You're doing the same, it sounds like, with your clients. It's not about you and Fervor. It's about understanding and listening to them.
Oh, I hope so. I think this is a major negotiation, because let's think about it. I'm trying to put it in your terms too. Like, largely what an organization like mine wants, long-term clients. You spend a lot of time getting them, and now you want to keep them for a long time. But that may not be what's best for them. And if I really want to practice what I preach, and I think about the audience and their needs and frustrations and their heart's desire, Gosh, I may be able to serve them really well for the next 2 years, get them out of their own way, give them some real good building blocks, and then turn them loose on the world in different ways to a larger agency, or an internal agency, or you name it. And that's, I think, what most of us get. We get in our own way, myself included. And so we try to take this pill of practicing what we preach as much as we can. And so lots of times what we say is our main goal is we want to make sure that there's always more impact with us than without us. And the moment that changes, we want to get out the way.
So you talked, Mike, about the impact assessment. Um, and again, I don't know how much of the onion you can peel back there. 8 weeks. How much resistance do you get from folks who are like, "Now we just need to get this moving faster"? What are you talking about? 8 weeks of discovering, and doing research and analysis. Which, by the way, Nolan and I would be on your side because we think there's a lot of good work to be done in preparing for negotiations. So, anyways, what sort of resistance do you get on that?
Oh man, I would think we're in lockstep on with you guys on lots of pushback on time invested in terms of what it really takes to come up with a successful outcome. And uh, lots of pushback. I mean, the reason we've worked with, now pushing, over 1,000 organizations, and just pushing 100 of them have done our main process, is because, you know, 10% of the groups that we've worked with have said, hey, we're willing to do all of, we're kind of willing to do the full process. Let's make a really good cake. And most of them was, like, hey, we all want to move fast and break things. And that has become, I would say that's also become, the market's working against us in a lot of ways. The startup community and mentality is move fast, fail fast, as opposed to think critically. I wish we might think about, to a little bit of think critically. The old axiom, measure twice, cut once, is not what's in favor. And so this is true for lots of our clients. Now, the true innovators, they want to move fast, but they also want to move intentionally. And that's where we love kind of entrepreneurial, innovative, nonprofit clients. That sort of temper and tone means that they're going to look at an ROI, and they're also going to want a plan, and they want to know where they're headed, and they want to know where they're headed before they really, pull out of the driveway. And so they're willing to put a map together, a sum of a map. Now, 8 weeks, still hard to sell, candidly. But man, it's been a lot of fun. And now we're at 89 times that somebody's let us do this with them, and we're doing number 90 right now. We're in the middle of number 90 right now, and it is probably still the most fun I have, because we really do get every sense of the organization, divisional understanding, budget understanding. Everything has to work together if you really want to grow. And really, isn't that what marketing's about? Is growth. Usually they're asking us a growth question, even though it's under the guise of, hey, we need a new website, or a new brand, or a new something, or a campaign to help us. And the real question, once you peel back a couple more layers, is, hey, we really have a growth need. Okay, cool, share that. What's the next 2 years? What's the next 10 years? What's the real growth, kind of number? And then we devise a plan to help you get there. That's the most fun. Is it hard? Absolutely. Most clients, most prospects, not clients. Once they become a client, they kind of drink Kool-Aid. Most prospects are really averse to 8 weeks of strategy and no execution, and they're like, "That doesn't sound like what I asked you for. Can't we get a website in that time? And isn't that going to do it?" Yep, that's not going to do it. We would say we're much more the vitamin. And we're going to help you over time. It's the gym and the vitamins. And you can't predict results. You can't go see results the first meeting. You can't see results the second meeting. But going to the gym over time, you're going to start to look and feel better. And that's what we are akin to, vitamins and gym over time.
Nice. So, one of the things Nolan and I often say to folks is that negotiators just aren't creative enough. You are a creative. You lead a team of creatives. You hire creatives. This is probably never a problem for you. Trying to solve a problem, get more creative. You probably have too much creativity. So I don't know. I mean, is it ever with your clients? How do you foster an environment of creativity? Are there things you do that kind of help bring that to the surface?
Hmm. This is a great question. This is fun. So this is where I think Guy, I think you might be right. I think lots of us, but by the way, I think this is true in lots of industries. We get a chance to see lots of different kinds of organizations through our doors. And by the way, solving problems creatively is a challenge for all of us. Um, so I would say we do a couple of things. One, gosh, this is back from my sprint days, but we require both our team and we want our clients to uh, bring us the real problem. So don't bring us the solution, bring us the problem. And then with our team, we want them to bring at least 3 to 5 possibilities, possible solutions every time. Um, they now know me as the option guy, and my team says, "Oh, Farag's the option guy. He's always going to want options." And my contention is there's not one way to solve issues. There's multiple ways to solve issues. And that to me is one of the maybe beginnings of starting to say, maybe there's not just one possible solution or possible outcome here that is still a win. That there might be 4 or 5 or 10 possible outcomes that's still a win. And we're looking for both sides. We're looking for us to feel good about the work that we're doing and clients to feel good about the return they're getting, and everybody to have this is a good workable solution for both sides. I think this is true in negotiation. So multiple options are like kind of the paramount. Let's call it the 101. We got to have that before we can have anything. Then we would start to say, I think this is another, we've done this kind of scenario where we've said, hey, we really want you to run it all the way to outcome. So run option and run it all the way to outcome. So all the way, take that sort of solution and then go 3 to 5 steps down the road. So run it to outcome. What is possible outcomes? We run a game called high low sometimes. We try to just make it a little fun. Like, hey, what's the top and the bottom side of this? Like the worst case scenario and the best case scenario. And we run high low on lots of things on a regular basis. By the way, just sometimes retitling something and not saying best case, worst case feels different to the human mind. And so I am a big advocate of word choice. And if you just say, hey, we're going to play a little game called high low with the client, by the way, that doesn't feel like worst case or best case scenario, like you've done in several boardrooms along the way. We've done a variety of games where we really try to gain alignment. Alignment is super key. I believe this is where negotiation can really have true alignment. And sometimes what we have is we talk about, real issues. So we do an issues card, and we start lots of big meetings that have, probably difficult, challenging things to solve in the meeting. And we'll ask for a pardon for 2 hours. No issues can be discussed for those 2 hours once they've been written down. We're going to capture these issues. Used to be, guys, Sprint used to call this, and you've probably been in a room, somebody said, well, let's put that in the parking lot, they'll write it on the whiteboard. This is a different version of that, similar tactic. So we put them on cards, write them on cards. Everybody says them. We've captured them. We write them in a document, capture them. Okay, we have your concerns. Now you can put them to the side for the next 2 hours of this meeting. No concerns need to be brought up anymore. You can pick them up on your way out. Feel free to pick those concerns back up on the way out. But what we've done is tried a mental model of putting them, getting their barrier down. All we're trying to do is get barriers down so that, because I believe what's in the way, you say creativity, Aram, what I hear is they're just in their own way. I think lots of us have innately gifted ability to see the world differently if we're given the chance to see it differently, but we're in our own way. We have those barriers, those blinders. And if we can get those blinders off in whatever way guess what happens, man? New solutions, new creativity ensues, and we start to have a better conversation than we would have had before.
It relies a lot on process management, Mike, as that the issues card piece, and to get those ground rules agreement so that you can do that and create that environment where barriers are down. I think that's a nice addition to our mantra about people being more creative, trying to think outside the box on these complex problems that, as you described, are holistic. Part of it is what's the process we're using to create the environment to do that.
Hey, thanks for checking out this video on NEGOTIATEx TV. If you found any value at all, please hit the subscribe button, hit the notification icon if you want to be notified of future videos. And then we also have a couple videos over here that you might be interested in checking out. If you, in your small business, your team, are looking to get negotiations or leadership training, then you can head over to negotiatex.com and learn more about the coaching services we offer. Thanks, and I'll see you over the next